Part of a series of marches and protests.
To be deported immediately.
They need to leave the country.
Why are we employing foreign domestic workers?
This isn't over yet.
People are feeling upset in South Africa. People do not have access to jobs, housing, or healthcare. This is a serious problem and does need to be addressed. When looking at the unemployment stats in the quarterly labor force survey, unemployment is sitting at 32.7%, with youth unemployment sitting at 45.8%. We are still dealing with the deep realities of spatial segregation in South Africa, and well-located affordable housing is arguably one of the biggest problems that we need to solve. Although we have very good medical facilities, people struggle to get access to them. The auntie still needs to get up in the dark to walk to the clinic if she wants access to her healthcare. Now, when you're not sitting with surplus, scarcity becomes the problem, because it's so easy to share once you have a bit extra. But if you yourself are struggling, it's very difficult to find the rationale to share. Have a look at what Trevor Noah said on this example.
When we had food in my house, and my mom was always like, please go give those street kids this food, give that homeless guy this, give that. She did that her whole life. She still does that, right? I remember in my life when we were doing well in the house, like when we had a full fridge, I never noticed it. I would run over giddy to that guy and I'd give him bread and stew and some money. I didn't notice it. It's when my mom opened her purse when it was empty, took out her last 10 Rand note and said, go give it to that guy. And I was like, this woman has lost her goddamn mind. Genuinely.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think she's amazing for like doing that, but I won't lie to you, as a kid, I was like, nah, lady. I was like, that guy there, he should not be getting our money in any way, shape, but we have nothing.
Yeah.
And then she was like, no, you think we have nothing. We don't have nothing yet. He has nothing. We're just doing badly right now.
What I want to convey in this video are three big things. Number one, why migration actually occurs, not just in the South African context, but from around the world, so we can actually understand it. Number two, make a case for why the politics and the economics regarding this issue are completely away from each other. And number three, what actually is the problem going on and how we can play a role in solving it. So we need migration. As much as we want to think and rely on our own resources, South Africa is not an isolated island. We are reliant on Nigeria for oil, Mozambique for natural gas, and Namibia for meat, to name a few. And more broadly so, we are incredibly reliant on good import and export deals from other African countries. Otherwise, the local goods that you want to be able to afford are going to be incredibly more expensive because of tariffs. Now, to quote from the Oxford professor Ian Golden on his book, The Shortest History of Migration. Think about it. Every single one of us, or our parents or their parents' have been migrants. In fact, the very idea of the passport was first introduced in 1914 after the First World War. Before this wasn't an issue like it is today. And then here's the thing, the economics and the politics is very different as it pertains to migration. As migrants create jobs, lift wages, and start businesses that are incredibly beneficial for the local economy. And so let's look at the economics in this, because as you'll see, the economics of this discussion is very different from the politics of this discussion. First, what we need to understand, according to Stats SA, the migrant population in South Africa is an incredibly small part of the workforce, making up just 5.4% of the workforce. And relative to South Africans, which have a high unemployment rate of 34%, migrants have an unemployment rate of 18%. But that's not because they're stealing jobs. Our first economic study that we'll look at is focused on the micro level, specifically in the Bellville-Paddo region in Cape Town. In this study, it was found that people in South Africa coming from other countries are not the job takers as we commonly believe. In fact, they are actively creating businesses and prefer to employ South Africans as opposed to non-South Africans. Citing a reason for this is that the South Africans really know how to engage with the culture of their customers, and so it's a real incentive there for foreign owners to employ South Africans. It was found here that a huge reason why people were coming here to South Africa was that they were actually fleeing a political instability in their own countries. And because it was so difficult to often get a job in the formal sector, they had to create businesses to serve South Africans. Now, one of the big limitations of the study was that it was indeed done only in Cape Town. But the thing is, this is a huge principle that actually has to do with a lot of the reason and the result of what happens when people migrate to South Africa. Now, when we look at the macroeconomic paper, it was indeed found that a 1% increase in migration to South Africa caused a 0.17% decrease in employment percentage points. It was also true that when there was a 1% increase in migration, this caused a 0.02% decrease in the annual income of the dataset. And another key thing to take note is that this is exclusively in the formal sector, not the informal sector, where a lot of the debate in the current climate of migration is being spoken about. It cannot be said that people coming from other countries are not active participants in the South African economy. They are indeed making lives better for themselves, but especially South Africans as well. And this is what the data tells us. So what's actually the problem? Well, I can tell you this for free. We still have underdeveloped communities that are the history of spatial injustice. And yes, we have solved the moralization issues of the past, and those arguments don't need any more airtime. But what we haven't solved are the structural issues that the past has created for the present. Now, what my years in social development and impact entrepreneurship has taught me is that people can solve their own problems. You simply need to create the environment for them to do so. And sure, the government has a very big role to play in this, but so does the life of every single citizen. The problem of unemployment, the problem of crime, the problem of homelessness. We cannot see these problems as the problems of the country, but rather need to see these problems as our problems. And furthermore, see ourselves as the solution. Now, one way to do that is to learn about the pathways to help people with housing in South Africa. Now, if you're struggling with housing insecurity, or you want to be a force for good that is helping people with housing insecurity, there is a guide that you can download and have a link below for that. Now, fellow South Africans and honorary South Africans, I'm looking forward to changing the world with you.